Hello guys! I wanted to share a video with you today on a project that me and Kaylee have been working on for the last couple of months. We've been working on how to make up our own tinctures and herbal tinctures, and also capping up some herbs using different capping machines and different things. I'm going to be going over all of this in this video, and I'm going to give you a basic understanding on how to make up your own formulas if you're interested in doing this, to save money and to just enjoy harvesting some wild herbs in your local area, and then also adding them, or even making your own formulas just from different wild herbs that you harvest. But I suggest if you do that, just research really well on how to use the herbs properly so that you can use them safely. Because me and Kaylee, we did that too. We harvested some wild herbs. But like, for example, there's one that we harvested, poke root. Here's one that we used. You just have to be careful. This herb is one of those ones that it is poisonous if you use it in the wrong way, in the wrong part of the herb, you know. But that's all part of research. But Kaylee, shine over here and move over here and show them. These are all the different herbs that we bought from Star West Botanicals. My family has a health food store. We have a health food store, and I was able to get these herbs at a wholesale cost. You know, this may look like a lot. We bought enough to last us for a year or two, you know, making different formulas. And we made some in such big amounts because the first time that we started making them, we didn't have our ratios right on our alcohol to water, and so we had to make a larger amount. So that's why these are in half-gallon jars. And these are some different formulas that I've created, you know, the pituitary and the thyroid and thymus, and the kidney and bladder cleanser, the kidney and bladder diuretic, the upper circulation. This is the licorice root. This is a lungs formula, and this is an eye formula. An eye, you can use it internally or as an eye wash. And where we got the idea for these different formulas that we made was we got it from Dr. Morse's formulas that he has, and there's some in the community, some different PDFs that people have shared of different breakdowns of his formulas, the different grams that you use of each one of the different herbs to make up the formula, following the basic outline of the way kind of Dr. Morse did. And some of the formulas we didn't have a breakdown, so we didn't know, and we just had to, you know, guess on the ratios. And what we did is we just followed a guideline of, say we put 20 grams of the first one and we put like 15 of the next one. You know, we went down the line, and where we come up with that is based on the fact that, or based on the rule that most of your ingredient list, the top ones that they use in the ingredient list are the ones that's the most of that herb that's in that formula. So we just followed this breakdown from a PDF that I had, and Kaylee helped me, and we come up with the ratios. And then when we use these books, I would strongly suggest you get these books. See, this is a great one I got from Amazon, you know, called this is a really good one, the Modern Herbal Dispensary, and it gives you a good understanding and a breakdown of it. And then this was another one that I got too, called the Making Tinctures, you know, Beyond the Folk Method, you know. Can you see them good, Kaylee? Okay. And yeah, and see what these books do that are very beneficial. And you can find all this information online too. You don't have to just get these books, but these books are really good and easy to understand, so that's why I really recommend these books. But this book, it tells you about the ratios, and what we discovered is that every quart, like, you know, this is a quart jar. For this quart, if you're going to make, most of your tinctures are made in quarts. These are half-gallon jars. These are quarts. These are half-gallon jars. These are quarts, and these are quarts. And this is a 16-ounce jar, and this is an 8-ounce jar. Most people don't make them in the smaller sizes. I mean, you could, but what we found is for a jar this size, you take and you put, what was it, 720 milligrams of liquid, wasn't it, Kaylee? And you, I think 720 milligrams, or milliliters. Milliliters, that's right, milliliters. And of course, I may not be getting some of the ratios just exactly right because it's different on the amount, the size. But what I'm getting at is the formula that we followed. It was 180 grams of dried herb, and what you do is you'll take a mixing bowl and you'll weigh out, get you a scale. I found this scale, it goes down to half of a gram, you know, and it goes up to 500 grams. I got this off of Amazon also. You know, that's what it looks like. You don't have to get this one. They have different brands. This was just the one that had good reviews. But it has this little tray, and you can zero it out, and then you put the amount of the different formulas, or the different herbs, and you put it in your bowl, and you mix it up, and then you take that mixture, and then you take your funnels, of course, it's not rocket science, and it helps you to pour the mixture in there. You know, use a spoon if you need to. And then these were to use on these jars that had the smaller holes. You know, that's what these were for. These were for the mason jars with the big mouth. You know, this is a basic canning jar funnel, you know, for canning. But we use that, and then we put it in there, and then these books tell you how much water to alcohol ratio. See, this book right here, I'll show you. I'm trying to make this really concise and easy to follow this video because it is a lot to cover, you know. But it tells you in the book, see, it tells you the potency on how you come up with how strong you want your formulas to be. Whether you want it to be a 1, most of Dr. Morse's formulas are a 1 to 4. You know, some of them are stronger than that. They're 1 to 3s or 1 to 1s. You know, a lot of the ones on the internet from a lot of different companies are 1 to 6 because it costs more money with more herbs and to make it stronger. You know, so you can get the ratios out of these books, but they tell you, like for example, some of the herbs that are aromatic herbs, like the essential oils, it tells you what is a better extraction method: the water, the alcohol, the glycerin, vinegar, or oil. And it tells you what extracts the properties of that herb better. So for example, I'll give you an example. This one right here, licorice root. This was just one herb. When it's just one herb, you know better from researching from these books what extracts the properties from the herb better, you know. And for example, licorice root, any kind of your root herbs, you know, you want to put more alcohol, and this is the alcohol that I found, by the way, that was really good. Show them that, Kaylee. This is an organic alcohol that I found. It was a little expensive. It cost about $180 for this gallon because of the shipping and hazard charge. That is a little costly, but it's a really good grade alcohol, and I wanted the best grade alcohol for my tinctures, you know. So that's the type of alcohol I found. You can order that offline. I'll put the link to where you can order this from in the description. If I can take the time, and I'll try to put the links to some of these things from Amazon and the alcohol in the link in the description below the video. But also, this is just basic distilled water. And then you put but what I was saying is, for the licorice, for example, you put more alcohol because it's a root herb than you do water. And then you get these ratios from these books. You know, that's how you know, is that you get the books or you find out online. Well, you may say, well, Thad, what about these ones that's a mixture of different roots, flowers, resins? See, that's the different types of herbs. You know, is the resins, the flowers, the berries, the roots, they all have different extraction ratios. So that's when you have a blend of them now, then what you usually go by is a 60-40 ratio. You go 40% water and 60% alcohol. Wasn't that right, Kayla?
I don't remember.
I think that was right, because I think that's what the book said. It was 60%. Oh no, I remember now. We did it 50 and 50, didn't we? We ended up doing 50% alcohol and 50% water. You know, because after we did some figuring, we figured that would be close enough to make it the strength that we wanted, because we were trying to go for like a 1 to 2 or a 1 to 3 ratio with the herbs. But then we found out whenever we were making them up that you can't put, because I don't know if you can see this. This is the way it looks before you shake them up. See, it's over halfway full of powdered herbs. So, because I use powdered herbs in all of my tinctures, because you get a stronger extraction when you use powder versus using the bulk herbs. And so that's why I use powder herbs for all of my, or I ground down the herbs into powder too, because you get a better extraction. But when you put too much, if you put too much powder in there, you won't have enough room for all the liquid. So you got to only put the amount of powder that it calls for for the jar. So that's what I discovered, and that's why I had to go back and redo some of these, because, and that's why this right here, this is a lung formula, and see how it's not as full.
Formula?
I mean an eye formula, I'm sorry, an eye formula, and it's not as full because I wanted to make sure that I had enough room for the liquid. You always want to have enough more liquid over the top of the powdered herbs. And then every day, this is very important, every day you shake them. You shake them every day, once a day at least. And then most of the time, you want to use the dark amber glasses. You know, so this is a dark amber mason jar, because the light will degrade the tinctures. Okay, it will degrade the herbs, the quality of the herbs. So you want to use the dark amber ones when you can get them. But I haven't found a source for this size bottle online. You can get a smaller bottle this size with these lids, because you also want to make sure it's not going to spill, you know, when you go to shake it. And so what we had to do with the mason jars is we had to use a gasket. So you want to use a BPA-free lid that you can get for these mason jars. We also use these when we make our juices. And then you want to use a gasket. You know, this is a silicone gasket that you can get off of Amazon. This is not the right size. This is one for a regular mouth mason jar. But we ran out of the ones for the wide mouth, or I would show you that. We put them in all of these. These all have gaskets in them so that when I shake these up, they don't spill. You know, and we didn't have any brown mason jars for the half gallons, and I didn't have any more gaskets to use, or these would be in these brown jars that we have too. So I just had to put them in regular mouth jars and then just put one of these regular gaskets on there. And so what they said is whenever you do have to use jars where light can penetrate the herbs, then you want to store them in a tub like this. You want to put them in a tub where it will be in complete darkness. And that's why this tub is sitting here. So I hope you guys are able to follow me today. I'm trying to make this video not too long and drawn out, because, you know, I could technically make a several part series on how to make up your own herbal formulas and your own herbal tinctures. I'm just kind of making a video about it today because I wanted to discuss how we went through this process. And we also learned, they talk about it in here, in this book. Let me get it. They talk about it here. This is like the folk method. See, beyond the folk method, but they also talk about the folk method. Well, they talk about that there's this method that it's very interesting actually, where if you make the tinctures on a new moon and then you harvest them on the following full moon or the following full moon, that's actually the best. It's actually best to do it not the following full moon, but do it the next full moon, which would be 45 days. It would be like a month and a half that you would let the tincture sit. And then you extract them on the full moon. And the reason why that is because of the cycles of the moon. When it's a new moon, the energy on the earth is real grounded. And as it goes from the new moon to the full moon, the energy is being drawn up. And when that's the case, what it does is it pulls all of the nutrients or the medicinal properties out of the herb into the alcohol. And when it's pulled into the alcohol, it makes it stronger. They've noticed that the herbal formulas, when you do them in the cycles of the moon, they're an average of, I think they said 10 to 15% stronger than if you don't do them with the cycles of the moon. So remember that. Start them on the new moon, and then extract them on the full moon, but preferably not the following full moon, but the second full moon after you soaked them on that new moon. You know, I hope you're following what I'm trying to say, you know. So that's very important on how you make the formulas. So as a recap, before I get into how to cap up your herbs about making the tinctures, is get you some good quality herbs. The best herbal brands to get out there is go with Star West Botanicals. That's another really good company. Kaylee showed that to you earlier. Go with Star West Botanicals, and you can get them either organic. They make some of them organic, and they make some of them wildcrafted. Now, which ones are better to get which? You just really want to make up your own mind on which you would rather have, on whether you would like to have wildcrafted or organic, you know. And it does have a variance in price somewhat. But there's also another company that's really good, and they're called Mountain Rose Herbs. They're another really good brand too. But I decided to go with Star West because my parents were ordering from them and with our health food store, and I wanted to just make it easy and get them all from one company. And then we also, like I said, we went and harvested. We harvested some goldenrod. We harvested some cleavers from our yard. We have cleavers growing out there right now, you know. And then we had some poke root. And then this Podiarco right here, this is just an example that I ground this down in my Vitamix from the bulk. Because some of the herbs I couldn't get in powder form. I had to get it in bulk form, and then I just ground them down. So get you a good source of herbs. And then use an example of some of these formulas out there that some people have had. And then also some of these formulas, like the lungs formula, I didn't follow Dr. Morse's formula exactly. I found some other great herbs out there that were really good for the lungs and helping to get mucus out of our lungs. And I added them to this formula. So I kind of made up my own formula. But I still followed that ratios I was telling you earlier about, you know, the percentages. Because I still tried to follow for these bottles, because you can't see it because it's so dark, but the powder goes up to about here, and then it goes up to here with liquid, you know. And you of course you'll follow again the percentages of the amount of, it's all in these books and everything, the amount of alcohol you put versus the amount of water. And that's why it's just best to follow these, because I can't tell you the exact amount that we did. I just remember we did 50-50. So we put, if I remember right, for these quart jars. For the quart jars, we put, it was, I'm trying to think, what was it, Kaylee? It was, how much alcohol did we put? I think it was 720 milliliters total, but I think we divided that in half and put half of it water and half of it alcohol. Was that what it was?
I just remember it was a 1-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, 1-to-1, you know. Because
or 1-to-2, I don't remember.
Oh, 1-to-2, yeah, something like that. We can't remember because it was a month and a half ago that we made them up. But I'm saying it depends on how strong you want them too, by how much alcohol to water ratio that you put. And it also depends again if it's an individual herb or if it's a blend. So again, to not be confusing to you guys, because I know it can get quite confusing, because we had to do a lot of research on this for a couple weeks before we went even into making them. Is just get you some books and do a lot of research on the ratios and the amounts that you want to put and how strong you want them. Because the amount of alcohol and the amount of water that you put determines on how strong, well no, excuse me, back up. The amount of herbs you put, the amount of alcohol and the amount of water that you put, it adjusts the ratio of the strength of the tincture. And then how long you leave them soaking also increases the potency some too. So that's why I always left mine for about 45 days. From one new moon to 2 full moons later. That's when we're harvesting. And we're making this video because I'm actually getting ready to harvest them. And okay, you may say, well, Thad, what do you do next after you have them sitting, and you've had them sitting and you've been shaking them every day, and then you're ready to harvest, ready to press them. That's what they call it, pressing them. Well, they do make out there in the world, they make some really fancy presses that are real big, and they use hydraulics, or they use a hydraulic, like a jack for a car, like when you have a flat, you know, and it jacks it up, and they use that to press out all of the herbs. And most people, again, they don't make the tinctures with powders. I only follow that because it's a better extraction. Most people, when they do it the bulk herbs. Or if they do grind them down, they make a coarse ground. Well, I chose to do it in powder because it's a finer, you get a better extraction. Okay, well, if that's the case, then you have to make sure that you use some kind of a press, that you're using a real fine cloth so that it, you know, a lot of the particulate from the powder won't get out into your tincture, so you won't have a lot in there. Okay, so what I decided to do, because those presses, those big presses cost a lot of money. They cost like a couple $100 to get a big press with a hydraulic jack. So I decided to go for the next best option that was the most affordable, and it was the best idea. I bought some of these, you know, organic cloth tea bags. They're fine mesh, and I bought a potato ricer. This is just a standard stainless steel potato ricer that I got a good brand off of Amazon. It's an XO, is that what you call it, Kaylee? XO or OXO? It's a good brand, and it's just a rice strainer. And I will put
potato
strainer. And you take, and I'll pour out, when I get ready to do this, I'll pour out the liquid and the powdered herbs. I'll pour it into here, I'll fill it up so full, and then put it in here. You know, it's pretty self-explanatory. And then I'll press it out, you know. And then I'll press out all as much of the liquid as I can. And then I'll store it, you know, in my bottles, or I'll put it into smaller bottles. And that's how I'll finish up my tinctures, and then they'll be ready to go. And then I can start to use them now, you know, after I press all the powder out. And don't be afraid if you don't press all the powder out, because it's actually good to have a little bit of powder left in there, a little bit of particulate, because it makes the tinctures a little stronger. Because, you know, a lot of Dr. Morse's formulas, or at least his pituitary formula and his thyroid and thymus formula, and bones, well, we combined the thyroid and thymus and the bones and connective. But his normal thyroid and thymus formula and the pituitary formula, they both, you have to shake them really good, because they both can have some particulate at the bottom in the tincture, which is okay. It's natural to have some particulate in the tinctures after they're done, you know. So don't be afraid if you can't press it all out. It's actually not a bad thing. So, okay, now guys, I want to talk to you because I pretty much covered the basics on how to do it. I know I was all around and I was a little unsure on some of these ratios and things, and that's going to be up to you and how strong you want to make them anyways, you know. But I'm trying to give you an overview video today about this, and if you guys really like this video, I may go into more details if you have more questions about it in a follow-up video. But now I want to talk about how we made the powder formulas. We followed the same ratio.
The capsules.
The capsule formulas, I'm sorry. We followed the same ratio. So here's GI Renew number 2, or what used to be called the stomach and bowel. And what we did is we took, again, the powdered herbs that I have over here, and we took those and we followed a 200-gram ratio. We took the different herbs that we wanted to put in the formula, whether we followed Dr. Morse's layout, which I did. When I made up the GI Renew, I followed Dr. Morse's recommendations for all the different herbs that he had in the formula for the GI Renew number 2. And I found the formula again that someone had shared with what they thought was the amount of grams for each ingredient. And then we may have had to adjust it a little bit and put a little bit more grams of some, a little bit less of some, to get that 200 grams. And then I just increased it. I doubled or tripled the amount that we did to get up a large amount so that I could start capping up a lot. And see, here's some that I finished capping up. You know, there's 175 in that jar. And then I also made a parasite formula with some of Kaylee's her certain type of pen that she has, and it smeared a little bit there. But there's a parasite formula we made, and then I'm going to be making a male formula, male reproductive formula, a prostate formula, a female reproductive formula for Kaylee. I'm going to make a pancreas formula, a liver gallbladder formula, also a lymphatic formula. See, the poke root, this is in his lymphatic formula, so I'm going to be using the poke root in that. And I'm going to be making up, let's see, what else? That's pretty much all, because the parasite formula, we combined the parasite M and the parasite G, because see, I didn't want to have all the different formulas, so some of them we just combined them together, you know. So now let's talk about what type of cappers I've used. This is one I've used for years that we had at our health food store many, many years ago. I've had this over 10 years. It's a certain type of capper that you can get this off of Amazon. It's a 00 size. That's what I always used. And here's the actual caps that we got from our store. It's the Now Food brand, and it's veggie caps. You make sure you get the veggie caps, because the regular capsules are gelatin, which comes from bones, the bones of animals. So get the 00 veggie caps. You don't have to get it from Now brand. You can get it from any brand, but this was just the best price we had from the store. And then you take these, and then you open them up, and then this does 25 at a time. Or does it? Yeah, no, I think it does. I can't remember. Let me see. Does it tell you on here?
It doesn't matter.
I can't remember if it does 25 or 50 at a time. I think it does here. Let's see. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it says 50. 50 in this one at a time. And then we just bought a new one because Kaylee wanted to help me cap some up to make it go by faster. We just bought this one off Amazon that's also 00 size. And this one does 100 at a time. So we're looking forward to starting to use this one. And this one looked like a really good one. Had some good reviews on easy how to use it too. But then we got this one from my parents' health food store, the capsule machine, and it was okay, but it was a little bit more finicky on how to use it, and so we really didn't like it that well, so we're going to take this one back, and then plus it only did 25 at a time. So that's why we're going to take this one back and let my parents just resell this at the health food store. So what I would suggest you to get, and see here's how it looks. I'll show you. You pull this up like this, and then you twist these like that, and then it holds it up high, and then you open up the cap and you put the bottom in there, and then you take these cards. This card, it didn't come with this the capsule machine, but you take it and you slide it across there with the herbs, and then you let it down, and then it pushes it down, and then you have the bases sitting there filled up with the herbs, and then you take the caps and you put the caps on there. Well, that's the way you do it with this style. With this one, this big one, you fill up the tray with the bases, and then you put the powder in there, and then you put the lids in the top, and then you put them over like that, and then you just push it down, and it caps them up all at once. So it's a little bit faster. So we look forward to using this one because it can be faster, So that's what we're going to do, because we have a lot of formulas that we're going to be capping up. We're actually going to be capping up a lot more of the formulas than we have that we made in alcohol. But this may look like a lot, guys, because it was a lot. This was probably all of these herbs. Show these herbs to them again, Kaylee. This amount of herbs is enough for probably 2 people for a year and a half to 2 years. And we got them at a wholesale cost from my parents, because my parents own the health food store, And but it's still, even if you had to buy these retail, I know this seems like a lot, but this is still much cheaper than buying the other formulas from other people already made up. And then plus you get the joy of making up your own formulas, and you can put your own energy into it. You can say prayers over it or just meditate over it and put good energy into it, So it's a fun thing. So we've enjoyed it. It has been lots of work, but we've enjoyed it because it's going to save us a lot of money. We had to invest a good amount of money into the herbs and the time of doing it, and into the alcohol, because I had to buy 2 gallons of this alcohol, and so that was an investment there. But it's worth it because it's going to save me and Kaylee lots of money. It's going to save us probably over $1,000, and we'll have probably close to 2 years worth of herbs. So if not more than $1,000, I'm not sure totally, but it's fun, and it's fun to come up with your own herbal formulas, and I encourage you to get out there and wild harvest your own herbs. Research and discover what herbs growing around your local area, and get out there and find them, and just do the research necessary and find out how to use them properly, find out how to use them safely, and then you can bring them in and you can dehydrate them. Get you a dehydrator and dry them in the dehydrator, and then pulverize them down into powder, or chop them up coarsely, however you want to do it, with your herbs. And then use them in your formulas, or just make up one formula of that one herb if you want to, like the licorice formula, that I made. However you want to do it, guys, but just use these herbs and make up yourself some formulas, because in today's world, with the way that it is with all these viruses and all these things, we need herbs for not only detox, but we need herbs to help our immune system to stay strong, and we need herbal formulas to help us with medicine and help us to be building our bodies, help our bodies to be stronger and have the proper vitamins, nutrients, and minerals, So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too all over the place with my explanation on the different things. It was a lot to try to go over, but I hope it was enjoyable for you to watch and you got a lot from it. And I'll make some more of these videos like this in the future when I look forward to making more herbal formulas and I learn more about it, because one day it is one of my goals, just like Kaylee, to be an master herbalist and to learn how to wild harvest our herbs more and end up eventually I want to make my own formulas where I just take all the herbs I've harvested myself and grown myself and just make up my own formulas and my own medicine and my own tinctures, you know. But okay, guys, well, thank you for watching this video today, and please thumbs it up and share it with people that you know, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. And if I can help you in any way, any kind of coaching or an iridology reading or any kind of help in any way with these things, or if you have any questions about any of this today that I covered, if you have any questions about where I've got these ingredients from and how to make it up, or if you're confused about any of the ratios and how the amounts of the things you want to put, or if you have any questions about it all, just reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you, you know. But thank you guys for watching today, and I hope your journey to Wellville is balanced spiritually, mentally, and physically. Take care, my fellow friends, and have yourself a wonderful day or evening wherever you are in the world. And take care, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.